In this video, we're visiting the Ferrari Museum, located in Maranello, Italy. The museum is a must-visit for all car fans, so if you're near, definitely go check it out. At the entrance, we're greeted with a Formula 1 car hanging from a wall. There are some historic quotes here and a beautifully lighted stairway to heaven. So let's go check it out. Starting off with this. A beautiful Ferrari 250 LM and its bare chassis. The finish on this bare chassis looks incredible, so don't touch. Gorgeous design of the front and from the back, just as handsome. The completed car has this beautiful rear end with a perfectly suited quad exhaust. Next up is the childishly named Ferrari 812 Superfast. Bare chassis and the completed car in the traditional Ferrari red color. The car is super fast. In the near vicinity, there's the Enzo Ferraris personal office. Cozy, elegant, stylish, looks like a nice place to be. Moving forward, we see the aggressive front of the Ferrari GTO. As a kid, I had this car as a toy. It always looked so mighty and aggressive. Still, it retains that classic Ferrari side profile and the round taillights. You all know what this is. Yes, the F40. The legendary Ferrari. Plexi rear hatch covering the small twin turbocharged V8. The whole rear of the car is very revealing. Rear mesh allows good cooling and sneak peek inside. The F40 is a very elegant and beautiful race car, approved by Enzo Ferrari himself. This one has sliding side windows, and this is that iconic front of the car with its beautiful headlights. Above them are the pop-up headlights, closed so as to not ruin the timeless lines of the car. Across the F40 is its successor, the F50. In this striking yellow color with a very sleek side profile, it's a pretty big departure from the F40. Some think it looks horrible, some think it's beautiful. I'll let you decide. The side profile and the cabin remind me of a fighter airplane. The rear spoiler is completely integrated in the design of the car, and we can probably all agree that these wheels are really good looking. In front of them is the huge air intake for the engine. The interior could have used a bit more imagination, at least a different color. And finally the front. Well, I don't know. The front looks kinda odd. And speaking of fronts that look odd, here's another legendary Ferrari, the Enzo Ferrari. Look at that front overhang, that's long. Wheel design is nice, the cabin again, profile reminiscent of a fighter jet, and super thin A-pillars. Rear air intake, very wide rear fenders and spoilerless hatch. Enzo is really wide in the rear. For a V12 engine, it has these tiny exhaust tips, and beneath you can see a long rear diffuser. Functional, of course. The doors open upwards so they allow this aerodynamic recessed design. It makes the side profile look unique. Next up, a modern hypercar, the Ferrari that's even faster than the Superfast, the LaFerrari. Powered by a V12 producing 800 horsepower, and as if that wasn't enough, another 160 from an electric motor, so it's actually a hybrid, same category as a Prius. Rolling on simple 5-spoke wheels, Italians sure know their design. This car's active aero rear spoiler is hidden in plain sight. It pops up at speed and while braking to maximize performance. These round headlights make up for a very striking rear end design. The powerful engine powering the LaFerrari is proudly displayed here. Look at those beautiful headers. So here you can have a close look as to how this V12 collaborates with a small yet helpful electric motor. What you see here is a road-going formula car. This is the SF70XX Stradale. Function over fashion, this car is pretty, but above everything its main focus is performance. It's got a lot of aero, and it should, as it produces over 1000 horsepower. The combined power output is a result of 4 engines. One classic twin-turbo V8, assisted by 3 electric motors. Again, this car's main focus is ridiculously insane performance. Next we move on to the display of wheels, brakes, various colors available for your Ferrari, different colors of leather, stitching, steering wheels and bucket seats. Here we have another Superfast. This one has racing decals to make it even faster. I hear each decal adds 5 horsepower and chrome wheels supposedly add another 10 horsepower each. From concept posters to concept cars, here on display is the SP8. It looks almost completely real, but taking a closer look you discover it's a model car. It would be interesting to see it as a cutaway like Porsche does in their museum. Anyway, this is a very interesting car. Moving on to the roaring 50s, a blast from the past awaits us in this room. Here we have a tiny Ferrari Roadster. Very small, very simple, yet appealing design. Spartan interior, tiny cockpit, everything is small here. And if you look closely, there are no door cards, just a cord to pull to open the doors. And this car even went to Goodwood. Is this painted with a brush on a Ferrari? Yes, why wouldn't it be? It's on a race car. The monoposto Ferrari 315. Passenger seat is covered for better aerodynamics. Now this design probably reminds you of the Jaguar E-Type, and of course it does. Most of us here are more familiar with that car than this one, although the Ferrari is definitely prettier. Elegant and stylish, but made to race. Now fortunately my hand is long enough to record this, so I can imagine sitting down in this cockpit thinking what it would be like driving this Ferrari. Here we have a collection of model cars, I would say over 100 of different formula cars produced by Ferrari throughout the years. Above it is a large collection of trophies won by Ferrari drivers. And then behind me is the Formula 1 showcase. Now, if you never saw a Formula 1 car in person, you'll be surprised to how large they actually are. Even the old models. To me, they always seem fragile and small, but once you see them in person, these cars are large and you see they are made for speed. They have super low center of gravity and their wheelbase is much longer than you would have expected. All for high-speed stability. Brick caliper doorstop is a nice touch, and it leads us here to more cars from the Golden Age. Starting off with another tiny Ferrari Roadster race car. Sleek, smooth design, very simple and elegant rear end. Tiny exhaust pipes and tiny tires too. Interior is very Spartan, but it's more than enough. Can you believe that this Ferrari 125 Sport actually had a 1.5 liter V12 engine? Imagine how tiny those pistons are and what glorious sound they produced. This cute-looking Ferrari is the 166mm Berlinetta. It was built for racing at the Le Mans. Only 6 cars were ever made, 2 of which entered the race and didn't finish it. Now, while the car doesn't look like your typical race car, it has a 170 horsepower engine, it does 0 to 60 in 8.5 seconds, and it reaches a top speed of almost 120 miles per hour. This, on the other hand, is your typical 50s race car. Long nose, sleek design, side vents and wire wheels. Interior features a wooden steering wheel and a manual gated shifter. Hump behind the driver is for better aerodynamics and some minimally inadvertent rollover safety. Classic racing doesn't get better than this. Super smooth aero finish in the rear. If we look to the other side of the room, there is an even nicer Ferrari race car. This is the Ferrari 250 Testarossa. The redhead, referring to the red top of the Ferrari's V12 engines. Very low and super elegant with these quite long exhausts. If your exhaust spits crazy flames, then you want it as long as possible to keep the heat away from the paint job. And I did not expect blue interior here. This is the Ferrari 365 GTB4 Daytona Competizione. It looks like a race car and it certainly is. Its 430 horsepower V12 engine pushes it to over 300 km per hour. Equipped with a roll cage, widened wheel arches and a side exhaust. This car is made for racing. Next up is the Ferrari R9P, Ferrari's take on the modern Le Mans car. The car is powered by a combination of a Ferrari V6 and an electric motor, producing almost 1000 horsepower in total, while weighing in just around 1000 kilograms. A lot of aero going on as it reaches speeds of over 300 kilometers per hour, over 300 laps on the Le Mans. It won the race in 2023. When you see it in person, you see many details that otherwise can't be seen on the pics of the car, such as these open wheel arches or the hidden exhaust tips. Also, up close you realize that the car is actually covered in a wrap. This is not a paint job. These tiny winglets are for aero and speed, and that's what a Formula 1 car is all about. Modern Ferrari F1 cars look amazing. As I mentioned previously, these cars are much larger and longer than what you'd expect. Wheelbase is super long, allowing for maximum stability at high speeds. Aero details are the direct result from aerodynamic tunnel testing. The long body of the F1 car is perfectly aerodynamic. This in particular is the SF71H, powered by a modern V6 Formula 1 engine with just 1.6 liters of displacement. I remember when these halos were first introduced, they seemed so odd, yet today they're ubiquitous with modern Formula 1 cars. They're there to protect the pilot, of course. And finally, before we leave the museum, we have a last reminder of how Ferrari chassis were made, why they are so respected and revered. Back then, there were no robots helping out. The panels in the car took shape pounded by hands of master smiths. This is how these cars were made. Now go and check out this museum for yourself.